It was an extremely sad and solemn day in the state of Georgia today, where mourners gathered in the town of Woodstock to say goodbye to Laken Riley. She was the 22-year-old nursing student brutally murdered by an illegal immigrant on the campus of the University of Georgia only last week. The funeral now follows a vigil held on that campus. Look at the size of this. Almost seems like every student came out. That was held earlier this week. Hundreds, thousands of students gathering to mourn Laken's death. And sadly, she is only the latest victim of the now deadly, devastating consequences of Joe Biden's open border chaos, and unfortunately will likely not be the last unless we take dramatic action. Anyway, joining us now with more, the governor, the great state of Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis. You know, Governor, I try to put myself in the position, and you're a dad, you have young children. Try and put yourself in the position of this young woman's parents and grandparents and siblings and loved ones. How do you recover from something like that? And what's so infuriating about this, it was not only once coming into the country illegally, they had another opportunity to deport this individual in a case in New York. That didn't happen. I mean, at some point, when do we hold accountable the people whose policies are allowing this to happen, allowing these people to stay?
Well, Sean, unfortunately, these angel parents, and they're not alone, this happens all over the country nowadays, where you lose a child at the hands of somebody in this country illegally here, thanks to Joe Biden and thanks to these sanctuary policies. Look, we work very hard as a governor. I know a lot of people around the country, of keeping people safe. When you have a crime like this, a murder by an illegal alien, by definition, that would not have happened had Joe Biden simply enforced the law. They are green lighting this and paving the way for this to happen. And you're right, Sean, to mention New York, because New York City is a sanctuary jurisdiction. So you have a criminal alien there, brought up on charges, who is in the country illegally. Right then and there, the appropriate thing is to get them into deportation proceedings and make sure that they get sent back to their home country. That's not what they do in New York. They don't cooperate. They release back onto the street. And so this guy ends up down in Georgia, and he kills Laken Riley. And I'd also say this Athens mayor has liberal policies in Athens, Georgia, as well. We banned sanctuary cities in Florida my first year as governor. I mean, if you have somebody here illegally, especially if they're involved in the justice system, you don't release them. You got to cooperate with federal immigration authorities. So this whole thing was avoidable. And unfortunately, she is not the only victim. This is happening all over this country. When we did the debate with Gavin Newsom that you hosted, I identified a case in California where Los Angeles released somebody who had been deported multiple times, illegally in the country, brought up on charges. They refused to turn him over to ICE, and he murdered the mother of a 3-year-old. This is what Joe Biden's America has come to.
You know, let me shift gears here. Jeffrey Epstein's mysterious death, that was, what, nearly 5 years ago, obviously did nothing to put to rest the many, many questions about many misdeeds and a special plea deal that took place before your time as governor in Florida. We could be a bit closer to some answers, because you're supporting legislation and you've signed legislation that will allow for the release of the currently secret grand jury testimony from his original case in the state. Boy, from all the details that I have read about this, wow, that had to be the plea deal of all plea deals.
Unbelievable what happened. And, you know, this was involved in federal jurisdiction at the time, and the feds worked to engineer this plea deal with the prosecutor in Palm Beach County. And this happened, 15, 20 years ago. When I became governor, we launched a criminal investigation into exactly what happened. How did he get this sweetheart deal? But what we ran into was grand jury secrecy laws. And that is true in Florida. If you testify in front of a grand jury, it's secret. It's got to be kept secret. And then people tried to petition to get it released under some of the exceptions, and all those court cases failed. So the Florida legislature passed legislation now which authorizes the release of all those grand jury files. And so I signed it into law this week. That law will become effective on July 1st. finally the public is going to be able to get answers. But we had a few of they're now women. They're in their 30s, but they were teenagers. A lot of them, I think, were 14 at the time. And this has been something that stayed with them for decades, and they never got any justice. And so now we're going to get more facts. And how is it, Sean, when you have so many people involved? You have one person now, Ghislaine Maxwell, who's in federal prison. Nobody else has been held accountable since Epstein's death. And I think everybody knows that is not right, and there's no way that nobody else was involved in this criminal activity.
I agree with that completely. Let me ask you about a bill that you vetoed that bans social media for kids under 16. You were very clear that you would support some measures, but not this strict a measure. You know, Dr. Phil actually pointed out something in his new book, the total number of hours that kids are spending online. I mean, it numbs the mind to think about it. And then they're subjected to things that are sent by people that are targeting children specifically with material that is not age appropriate, to say the least.
Yeah, so we're going to end up getting a product. Part of it is right now in federal law, under 13, you're barred from having a social media account, and yet there's a whole bunch of people under 13 that have it. So we're going to have enforcement on that. We're also going to, though, say for these teenagers, the 14, the 15-year-olds, there should be a parent involvement. So we're going to include parent involvement, and then we're going to make sure that in our valiant efforts to protect children, we're not infringing on adults' rights to use social media anonymously. I believe in anonymous speech. I don't want to have to force everybody to give their names like Nikki Haley wanted to. So I think we're going to have the appropriate balance, and I think you'll end up seeing a product that I think people can rally behind.
I saw that Sylvester Stallone is now making Florida, the free state of Florida, his home. I hope you're not taking too much heat that I moved down to your state. I've had property here for over 20 plus years. And I will tell you, probably the smartest decision of my life. It's great to be here. And finally, I actually have a governor I like. It's amazing. So thank you for that. I hope you're not taking too much heat.
God bless, Sean. Thanks for coming down.
All right, appreciate it. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.